Don't look behind you. Welcome to Disailer.
My best friend and I found a lake that isn't on any map. I don't think he came back with me. Part 1. I'm writing this from a motel room about 3 hours south of the Canadian border. The curtains are drawn. I've stuffed a towel under the door crack. Sam is in the shower. He's been in there for over an hour. The water is running scalding hot. I can see the steam curling out from under the bathroom door. But he isn't washing. He's just standing there. Every now and then I hear him laugh. It sounds wet. I need to get this down while my hands are steady enough to type. I need someone to tell me I'm not crazy, or at the very least, tell me what to do with the person, the thing currently occupying the bathroom. It started 4 days ago. Sam and I have been hiking buddies since college. We've done the PCT sections, the Appalachian, you name it. We're not amateurs. We know how to hang a bear bag. We know how to read a topo map, and we know when to turn back. Usually. Sam had heard rumors about a spot in the North Cascades, a dead zone on the satellite imagery where the forest canopy was so dense it hid a glacial basin. He claimed a buddy of a buddy had bushwhacked out there and found a pristine alpine lake, untouched, with water so clear you could see the bottom from the center. We parked the truck at an old logging turnout miles from the nearest trailhead. The hike in was brutal. 6 hours of pushing through Devil's Club and navigating washouts that hadn't seen a boot print in decades. We broke the tree line around 4 p.m. The lake was there, exactly where Sam said it would be. And it was wrong. You know that feeling when you walk into a room where two people have just finished screaming at each other? That heavy, static, charged silence? That's what the air felt like. The lake was roughly circular, surrounded by steep, gray granite cliffs on 3 sides. The water wasn't blue, and it wasn't green. It was black. Not muddy black, but obsidian black. A mirror so perfect it made me dizzy to look at it, like the sky had collapsed onto the earth. Jackpot, Sam grinned, dropping his pack. He wiped sweat from his forehead, looking at the water with a hunger that made me uneasy. Look at that glass, not a ripple. He was right. There was 0 wind. But more than that, there was 0 life. No waterfowl, no mosquitoes buzzing, no fish jumping. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was predatory. We set up camp about 50 feet from the shore. As I was hammering in the tent stakes, I hit something hard. I dug it up. It was a pair of glasses, thick black frames. One of the lenses was cracked. "Sam!" I called out. He walked over, holding a Nalgene. "Trash?" "A prescription. Wire frames are rusted to hell. These have been here a long time." Sam shrugged, tossing them into the bushes. "Probably some hiker from the 90s dropped them. Don't overthink it, OP. Let's get a fire going." We ate freeze-dried chili and drank whiskey as the sun went down. The sunset didn't reflect on the water. That was the first thing that really terrified me, though I didn't say it aloud. The sky was a blazing orange and purple, but the lake remained a flat, light-absorbing void. It refused to take the color. Around 10 p.m., the temperature plummeted. We put the fire out and crawled into the tent. I'm a light sleeper. Always have been. I woke up at 2:13 a.m. The silence of the woods is never truly silent. Trees creak, wind rustles. But this was the silence of a vacuum. Then I heard it. Drip, drip, drip. It was coming from right outside the tent. Slow, rhythmic, heavy droplets hitting the granite. It sounded like someone had just walked out of the lake and was standing over us, soaking wet. I nudged Sam. He was dead to the world. I unzipped the tent flap inch by inch and shined the beam into the dark. Nothing, just the rocks and the black void of the lake beyond. I scanned the ground.
On the gray stone leading from the water's edge right up to our tent were wet patches. Footprints. But they weren't boot prints. They looked like handprints. Massive, splayed handprints, dragging something heavy between them. They stopped right at the entrance to the tent. I zipped the flap shut, my heart hammering against my ribs. I told myself it was an otter, a really big, deformed otter. I didn't sleep the rest of the night.
Day 2. The sun didn't help. The light felt thin, sickly. Sam was up early, energized. He wanted to swim. "You're crazy," I said, nursing my coffee. "The water's gotta be freezing. It's glacial runoff." "It's fine. I dipped a toe in. It's actually weirdly warm," Sam shouted from the shore. He was already stripping down to his boxers. "Sam, wait," I said, standing up. The anxiety in my gut was boiling over. "Those footprints last night. I think there's a bear or something." "Bears don't have hands, OP. Watch this." He ran and dove in. He hit the water with a splash that sounded wrong. It wasn't a crisp splash. It was a thick thwack, like he jumped into a vat of oil. He went under. I waited. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. The ripples died out almost instantly, the surface returning to that impossible glass smoothness. "Sam!" I yelled. 30 seconds. I was sprinting to the edge. Just as I was about to dive in, he breached. He didn't gasp for air. He rose silently. He just broke the surface, facing away from me. He was in the middle of the lake, way further out than he could have swum in 30 seconds. "Sam!" I screamed. He turned slowly. He was smiling, but from that distance, his face looked slack. "It's deep," he shouted back. His voice sounded hollow. There was a weird delay, like a bad dub in a movie. "Get back here, now!" He treaded water for a moment, just staring at me. Then he started swimming back. His stroke was jerky. When he crawled onto the rocks, he was shivering violently, his skin pale and puckered. "Warm?" I snapped, throwing a towel at him. "You're hypothermic, you idiot!" "It was warm," he whispered, teeth chattering. "Down deep, it's warm. They have fires." I stopped drying him off. "Who has fires?" He looked at me, his eyes unfocused. "The people in the sunken cabins." I packed our gear immediately. "We're leaving." "No," Sam said. He wasn't shivering anymore. He stood up straight, the towel dropping from his shoulders. Turned to me, and for a second, I swear his eyes were entirely black, pupil expanding to swallow the iris. Then he blinked, and they were normal again. "Relax, man. I was joking. Let's stay one more night." We argued. I eventually caved. It was a mistake. If you take anything from this post, let it be this. Listen to your gut. When the primitive part of your brain says run, you run. The atmosphere shifted around noon. The air grew heavy and smelled of ozone and something rotting, like old kelp and copper. Sam spent the day sitting on a rock by the water, just staring. He wouldn't eat. Every time I asked him what he was doing, he'd say, "Listening to the choir." As night fell, the fog rolled in. It rose from the lake, thick, white, curling tendrils that smelled of stagnation. We retreated to the tent. I kept my hunting knife in my hand. At 11 p.m., the sound started. It wasn't the dripping this time. It was voices. "Help me." It was a woman's voice, faint, coming from the water. "Please, my leg is stuck. Help." I sat up. Sam was awake, sitting cross-legged in the dark, staring at the tent wall. "Don't," I whispered to him. "Sam?" the voice called. My blood ran cold. The voice had changed. It sounded like me. "Sam, come help me. I'm in the water. It's so warm." I looked at Sam. He was smiling, that slack, empty smile. "I have to go," Sam whispered. "That's not me," I hissed,
grabbing his arm. His skin was freezing, not cold, dead cold, like grabbing a steak out of the freezer. "Sam, look at me, I'm right here." "Sam, please." The voice outside mimicked my inflection perfectly, but there was an underlying gurgle, like the speaker's throat was full of water. "She's calling me," Sam said. "It's mimicking us, Sam. It's a predator, Sam."
Sam ripped his arm away with a strength he shouldn't have had. He lunged for the zipper. I tackled him. We fought in the cramped tent. Sam was thrashing, clawing at my face, making sounds that weren't human, high-pitched shrieks and clicking noises. I managed to pin him, putting him in a chokehold. "Stop it!" I screamed. "Wake up!" Suddenly, he went limp. The voices outside stopped instantly. The silence returned, heavy, expectant. Then the zipper on the tent slowly began to slide down. I hadn't locked it. I watched in horror as the flap opened. Standing there was nothing, just the fog. But at knee height, hovering in the mist, was a face. It was pale, bloated, and translucent. It looked like a drowned sheet of parchment paper stretched over a skull. No eyes, just wet black sockets, and a mouth full of needle teeth. Too many teeth, rows of them like a shark. It opened its mouth and spoke in Sam's voice. "Let him in." I didn't think. I kicked the thing. My boot connected with something that felt like wet dough. It shrieked, a sound that shattered the air like metal grinding on metal. It recoiled into the fog. I grabbed Sam by the back of his fleece, grabbed my keys and the GPS, and I dragged him. "Run!" I screamed. We ran into the dark woods, leaving everything behind. The forest came alive. Trees shook violently. We could hear wet, heavy slapping sounds gaining on us. Thwack slosh, thwack slosh. And the voices, a chorus of them, my voice, Sam's voice, all screaming, laughing, begging. "Come back. The fire is dying. It's warm." We dove into the truck just as something massive slammed into the tailgate. I gunned it. I drove down that logging road doing 60, destroying the suspension. I didn't look back until we were on the highway. Sam sat in the passenger seat the whole way, staring ahead. He didn't speak, he just kept drinking water. He drank every bottle we had. When those were gone, he begged me to stop at a gas station and down 3 gallons, water spilling down his chin. We got to this motel 3 hours ago. I thought we were safe, but something is wrong with Sam. He went into the bathroom to shower. He turned the water on. About 20 minutes ago, I went to check on him. The door was locked. "Sam?" I asked. "It's drying out, OT. It's too dry out there." I put my ear to the wood. I could hear him moving. It sounded squishy, like wet leather rubbing against tile. And then I heard the humming. He's humming a discordant, droning melody, the same melody the voices in the woods were screaming. I looked at the bottom of the bathroom door. Water is seeping out. Not clear water. It's black, obsidian black. It's pooling on the carpet, staining it. And as I watch, the puddle is moving. It's not just spreading, it's stretching toward where I'm sitting on the bed. I'm gonna grab my keys. I'm gonna leave. I know I should help him, but the thing in that bathroom isn't Sam. I think Sam is still back at that lake, floating in the deep, warm water. I think whatever I brought back is just a vessel, a skin filled with that black water, and I think it's about to burst. If you're hiking in the North Cascades and you find a lake that isn't on the map, if the birds are silent, if the water looks like glass, don't go in. Don't even speak. Just run. Update. The water flowing from under the door just touched my shoe. It burns. It feels like acid. The shower just turned off. The lock is clicking. Go. We found a campsite deep in the woods that was identical to ours, down to the smallest detail. I'm typing this from a motel room in a town I won't name, about 3 hours away from the tree line. My wife, Sarah, is finally asleep.
though she twitches every few minutes, her hands clawing at the motel sheets. My kids, Sam, 14, and Lily, 8, are in the other bed. They're watching cartoons with the volume off. They haven't spoken a word since we got back to the car. I don't know if we're safe. I don't know if I should go to the police. What would I even say? I'm posting this here because I need a record. If something happens to us, or if I start to forget, I need to know this actually happened. It was supposed to be a digital detox. That was my brilliant idea. We've been drifting apart lately. Sarah's job is eating her alive, Sam is glued to his Switch, and Lily has been having these quiet spells at school. I thought a weekend in the Bitterroot National Forest, not the exact location, close enough, would fix us. Just us, the trees, and the stars. We drove 4 hours past the last paved road, then hiked another 3 miles off the main trail. I wanted isolation. I wanted privacy. God, I'm such an idiot. We found a perfect clearing near a creek around 4 p.m. on Friday. It was picturesque. Tall pines, soft, needle-covered ground, the sound of running water. We set up the big 6-person tent, the expensive orange North Face one I bought just for this trip. We set up the folding chairs, the cooler, the little camp stove. The first night was fine. A little tense, maybe. Sam complained about the lack of reception until I confiscated his phone. Sarah drank a little too much wine, but we made s'mores. Lily caught a frog. It felt normal. The weirdness started Saturday morning. I woke up early, around 6 a.m., needing to pee. I unzipped the tent quietly. The woods were silent. Not peaceful silent, dead silent. No birds, no crickets. The air felt heavy, like the pressure drop before a thunderstorm, but the sky was a perfect, cloudless blue. I walked about 50 yards into the brush. As I was zipping up, I heard a sound. Zip! It came from behind me. It sounded exactly like a tent zipper. I spun around, calling out for Sarah or Sam, but there was nothing but trees. I shook it off and walked back to camp. Everyone was still asleep. We had breakfast, and I suggested a hike to a ridge I'd seen on the topo map. We packed a day bag and left the main camp set up. We hiked for about an hour, but the terrain was rough. About 45 minutes in, Lily stopped. "Daddy," she whispered, "why is the forest humming?" "It sounds like the fridge," she said, rubbing her ears, like when the fridge is working really hard. I looked at Sarah. She looked pale. "Mark, I hear it too. It's low, like a vibration." We kept walking, but the woods got denser. The light took on a strange quality, flat, like fluorescent lighting. I asked her to check the GPS. The screen was flickering, the arrow spinning in lazy circles. According to the device, we were moving at 80 miles per hour sideways. "It's just glitching," I lied. We crested a small hill, expecting the ridge. Instead, we looked down into a clearing. My stomach dropped. In the center of the clearing, there was a tent, an orange, 6-person North Face tent. "Did we walk in a circle?" Sarah asked, her voice raising an octave. But as I got closer, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. The layout was the same, but the chairs arranged around the fire pit were old. The fabric was sun-bleached, almost white. The metal legs were rusted. The tent was ours, but the fabric was sagging, covered in mildew and green moss. It looked like it had been sitting there for 20 years. "Mark," Sarah whispered, "where are we?" I walked over to the cooler, our blue Coleman. I unlatched it. Inside, there was a slurry of brown, foul-smelling liquid. Floating in it was a plastic container of potato salad, the same brand we bought Thursday. But the label was peeling, the plastic yellowed and cracked. "The exact same gear?" Sam said, pointing. "Dad, look at the log." Beside the fire pit was the log Sam had been whittling on last night. He had carved his initials, ST, into the bark. I looked at the log in this campsite. It was rotted, crumbling into sawdust. But there, faintly visible in the gray wood, were the letters ST. They looked ancient, weathered by decades of rain and snow. "I carved that last night," Sam whispered. He looked like he was going to sick.
"We need to go," I said. "Now." "But if this is our stuff," Sarah was backing away, clutching Lily. "It's not our stuff. It can't be. We're leaving." "My switch was in the tent," Sam yelled, and before I could stop him, he bolted for the rotted orange tent. "Sam, no!" He unzipped the fly. The zipper disintegrated in his hand, tearing the fabric open. He froze. He didn't scream. He just made this choking, wet sound. I ran over and pulled him back. Then I looked inside. There were sleeping bags laid out. 4 of them. Inside the sleeping bags were mounds, not bodies. It looked like someone had stuffed the bags with mulch, dirt, and raw meat. They were pulsing, gently rising and falling, as if breathing. And on top of the mound in Sam's sleeping bag sat a Nintendo Switch. But it wasn't plastic. It looked like it was made of bone and gristle. The screen a slick black organ that pulsed with a faint red light. "Don't touch it!" I screamed, dragging Sam back. The humming noise, the fridge sound, suddenly ramped up. It became a screech, like metal grinding on metal. "Run!" I grabbed Lily. Sarah grabbed Sam. We scrambled up the hill, away from the rotting echo of our campsite. We ran until our lungs burned, branches whipping our faces. We collapsed in a small ravine 20 minutes later. "It was us," Sam whispered, shaking violently. "Dad, the clothes in the tent. I saw a shirt. It was my shirt, but it was all melted." I checked the GPS again. The screen was static. Then, for a second, text flashed. "Target acquired." I smashed the device against a rock. We found the creek about an hour later and started following it downstream. That's when the mimicry started. "Mark?" I stopped. The voice came from the left, deep in the brush. It sounded like Sarah. But Sarah was standing right next to me, holding my hand. "Don't answer it," she hissed. "Mark, come here. I found a way out," the voice said. It was Sarah's voice, but perfectly flat, no inflection, like a GPS navigation voice made of meat. "Daddy? Daddy, wait up!" That was Lily's voice, coming from above us, from the treetops. Lily whimpered, burying her face in my coat. We walked faster. The voices got closer. They started repeating things we had said earlier. "Let's go! There's nothing to do here anyway!" A voice that sounded like Sam rasped from behind a boulder. "Why is the forest humming?" A distorted, deep version of Lily's voice boomed from the darkening sky. We were jogging now. The sun was almost gone. We saw the trailhead marker, a flash of silver metal in the distance. "There!" I shouted. We broke into a sprint. The woods erupted. It wasn't just voices anymore. The trees themselves seemed to be shifting. I saw a birch tree that wasn't a tree. It was a pale, elongated leg stretching up into the canopy. I saw a bush that was just a tangle of wet hair. We hit the gravel parking lot just as the sun dipped below the horizon. Our SUV was there, the only car in the lot. "Keys, keys, keys, keys." I got the door open. We piled in. I jammed the key in the ignition. The engine turned over. The headlights flared on. Standing in front of the car, illuminated by the high beams, was us. It was me, Sarah, Sam, and Lily. But they were wrong. The other Mark was tall, too tall. His limbs were stretched like taffy. His jaw hung open, unhinged, resting on his chest. The other Sarah had too many fingers. They dragged on the ground. The other Sam and Lily were fused together at the hip, a mass of melting flesh and flannel. They were all
smiling. A wide, toothless, impossible smile. They didn't move. They just watched us.
I threw the car into reverse. I didn't care if I hit a tree. I floored it, spinning the tires in the gravel, whipping the car around. As the beams swept away from them, I saw them move. They didn't run. They unfolded. They dropped to all fours, limbs cracking and rearranging, and scuttled toward the car like spiders. I drove 90 miles per hour down a logging road full of potholes. I heard thumps on the roof. I heard scratching on the windows. Sam was screaming. Lily was screaming. Sarah was praying. I didn't stop until we hit the state highway. I didn't stop until we saw the neon lights of a gas station 20 miles later. We didn't go home. We drove to the next town and got this motel room. I've been sitting here for 3 hours. The sun is coming up soon. We're safe, right? We got away. But here is the thing that is keeping me from sleeping. Here is the reason I'm writing this. When we were in the motel lobby, checking in, the tired teenager at the desk asked for my ID. I reached into my back pocket for my wallet. My pocket was empty. "Sarah," I said, "I lost my wallet. Do you have yours?" She checked her purse. She went pale. "It's gone." "It's okay," I told the clerk. "I have emergency cash in the car." I went out to the car. I dug under the floor mat where I keep a stash of 20s. I found the cash, but as I was pulling my hand back, I saw something under the passenger seat. It was my wallet. I grabbed it, relieved. I opened it to check for my license. The leather was wet, slimy. I opened the billfold. My driver's license was there, but the face in the photo wasn't me. It was the thing I saw in the headlights, the jaw unhinged, the eyes wide and black. And the name on the license wasn't Mark. It was just a string of symbols, spirals, and jagged lines that hurt my eyes to look at. I threw the wallet across the parking lot. I grabbed the cash and ran back inside. I burned the clothes we were wearing in the motel bathtub. Sarah is scrubbing Lily's skin raw in the shower right now. But there's one more thing. Sam is asleep, or I think he is. About 10 minutes ago, he rolled over. He mumbled something in his sleep. It wasn't Mom or Dad. He said, in a voice that sounded like grinding metal, "Target acquired." I'm looking at him now. His chest is rising and falling, but the rhythm is wrong. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause, inhale, pause, exhale, pause. It's perfectly rhythmic, perfectly timed, like a machine. I don't think we brought the right kids back. Update. I just went to the bathroom to splash water on my face. I looked in the mirror. My pupils, they aren't round anymore. They're square, and I can hear the humming again. It's coming from the vents. I think they followed us. Or maybe we never left the clearing. I took my girlfriend to a secluded spot in the Cascades. We found a campsite that was identical to ours, down to the scratches on the cooler. I'm typing this on a laptop in a Motel 6 off I-5. Sarah is in the shower. She's been in there for 40 minutes, scrubbing her skin until it's raw. I can hear the water running, but she isn't singing. She always sings in the shower. I need to get this down while the details are still sharp, before my brain tries to rationalize what happened out there. I know how this sounds. If I read this yesterday, I would have scrolled past, thinking it was just another creative writing exercise. But I have the pictures. God help me, I have the pictures. But I'm too terrified to look at them again, to upload them. It was supposed to be a 3-day disconnect. Me, Mark, 28, and Sarah, 26. We've been together for 3 years, and we're both experienced hikers. We aren't the type to bring a Bluetooth speaker and a case of White Claws to a public campground. We like the deep woods, the silence. We chose a spot in the Central Cascades, Washington. I won't give the exact coordinates, not because I want to gatekeep, but because I don't want anyone else going there, ever. We drove Sarah's Subaru Outback as far as the fire service roads would take us, then hiked about 4 miles in. We found a perfect clearing near a small, glacial-fed creek. It was idyllic. Massive Douglas firs created a natural canopy. The ground was soft with pine needles, and the air smelled like sharp resin and cold water. We set up camp around 3 p.m. on Friday. We have a very specific setup: a bright orange north-face tent, easy to spot if we get lost, 2 blue camping chairs, and a beat-up white Coleman cooler that I've had since college. The cooler is distinct because I slapped a Banshee bike sticker on the lid years ago, and half of it is peeled off, leaving a white jagged tear across the logo. The first night was fine, uneventful. We ate freeze-dried chili, drank some whiskey, and stared at the stars. The only thing, and I only remember this now in hindsight, was the lack of wildlife. Usually you have squirrels, jays, the occasional deer, but the woods were dead silent. Not peaceful silent, empty silent, like a room where everyone has stopped talking because someone walked in with a gun. Saturday morning, we decided to hike up the ridge. We packed light day bags and left our main camp set up. The hike was grueling. The brush was thicker than the maps indicated, almost as if the forest was overgrowing the trail in real time. Around 1 p.m., we crested a ridge and looked down into the neighboring valley. "Hey," Sarah said, pointing down. "I thought you said we were the only ones out here." I followed her finger. About a mile below us, in a dense pocket of trees near a creek, I saw a flash of orange. "Must be other hikers," I said, feeling a twinge of annoyance. "You go that deep to avoid people. Let's steer clear." "Mark," she said, her voice dropping an octave. "Look closer." I pulled my binoculars out of my pack. I focused the lenses. The orange spot was a north-face tent. Sitting in front of it were 2 blue chairs, and sitting between the chairs was a white cooler. "That's weird," I muttered. "They have the exact same gear as us." "It's a popular tent, Mark. The cooler is standard Walmart crap." "Yeah," I said, lowering the binocs. "Yeah, you're right. Let's head east, loop around them." We spent the next 3 hours exploring the eastern ridge, but the unease stuck with me. It was like an itch in the center of my brain. We circled back around at 4:30 p.m., intending to head back to our camp. To get back, we had to descend into the valley where we saw the other campers. We planned to give them a wide berth, maybe wave from a distance, but as we got to the valley floor, the geography got confusing. All the trees looked identical. The trail markers I thought I'd memorized seemed to have shifted. We broke through a dense hemlock and stumbled right into a clearing. My stomach dropped. It was our campsite. "Oh, thank God," Sarah laughed, breathless. "I thought we were turned around. I didn't realize we'd looped all the way back." She walked toward the fire pit. I stayed frozen at the tree line. "Sarah," I whispered. "What? I'm starving. Get the jerky." "Sarah, stop." She turned, seeing a look on my face. "What is it?" "Look at the fire pit." We had built a fire ring out of river stones the night before. Gray, smooth stones. The fire ring in front of us was made of jagged black basalt. "So?" she said, but she sounded uncertain. Maybe the soot turned them black?" "Look at the tent." It was our orange north face, but the fabric looked wrong. It looked smooth, too smooth, like it didn't have a weave. It looked like a low-resolution texture in a video game that hadn't loaded in yet. I walked over to the cooler. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I looked at the lid. There was the sticker, the Banshee Bikes logo, the jagged tear where I'd peeled it half off. But the text didn't say Banshee. It said Banshe. Wait, no, that's what my brain wanted to see. I blinked and looked again. The letters were unrecognizable. It wasn't a different language. It was gibberish shapes, like if you asked an AI image generator to write text. It was an approximation of letters. "Mark," Sarah whimpered. She was backing away from the tent. Where are the zippers? I looked at the tent door. There was the flap. There was the black line where the zipper should be, but it was just a black line drawn onto the orange surface. It wasn't a mechanical device. It was a marking. "This isn't our camp," I said, my voice trembling. "It's a prank," Sarah said, her eyes wide and wet. "Someone is fucking with us. Someone 3D printed this or something." "Let's go," I said. "Now. We are leaving everything. We are going back to the car." "My keys are in the tent," Sarah screamed. "We aren't going in there." "I can't drive without them. Your truck keys are on the same ring." I looked at the tent. If that zipper was painted on, how could we get in? I reached out and touched the orange fabric. It was warm. Not warm from the sun. It was 98 degrees warm. It felt like skin. It yielded under my finger, wet and slightly oily. I recoiled, wiping my hand on my pants. "Sarah, run! Just run!" That's when we heard it. From inside the sealed, zipperless tent, a sound started. It wasn't a growl. It was a recording. "I thought you said we were the only ones out here." It was Sarah's voice, but it was tinny, flat. Then my voice answered. "Must be other hikers. Let's steer clear." It was playing back our conversation from the ridge 3 hours ago and a mile away. Sarah screamed, a raw, primal sound. The tent ripped. It didn't unzip. The orange skin tore down the center with the sound of wet meat separating. We didn't stay to see what came out. We ran. We ran until our lungs burned and our legs felt like lead. We didn't care about the trail. We scrambled up the embankment, tearing our clothes on thorns, sliding in the mud. We ran for what felt like an hour, heading generally north, hoping to hit the logging road. The sun began to set. The woods turned from green to gray to black. "We have to stop," Sarah gasped, collapsing against a tree. I can't breathe." I checked my phone. No signal. 14% battery. "We need to keep moving, Sarah. We can't stay here." "I can't see the trail, Mark. We're gonna break a leg." She was right. Trying to navigate this terrain in the dark was suicide. We found a small hollow beneath the roots of a massive overturned cedar. It offered some cover. We huddled there, shivering. No fire, no light. That was the longest night of my life. For the first few hours, it was dead silent again. The silence was heavy, physical. It pressed against our eardrums. Then, around 2 a.m., the sound started. It started with footsteps, heavy, bipedal footsteps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. They were circling our position, maybe 50 yards out. Then the whistling. It whistled the chorus to Sweet Caroline. We had been listening to that in the car on the way up. But the whistle was wrong. It didn't pause for breath. It was one continuous, sustained note that pitched up and down to mimic the melody. It was like a flute made of bone. I clamped my hand over Sarah's mouth. She was shaking so hard her teeth were chattering against my palm. The whistling stopped. Then a voice called out from the dark. "Mark." It was Sarah's voice, perfectly replicated, but Sarah was crying into my chest. "Mark, I'm cold. Open the sleeping bag." The voice came from 10 feet to our left. "Mark, the zipper is stuck. The zipper is stuck. The zipper is stuck." The repetition was mechanical. The cadence didn't change. I grabbed a fist-sized rock. It was pathetic, but it was all I had. "Mark, look at the fire pit. Look at the fire pit. Look at the fire pit." It was learning. It was cycling through phrases it had heard us say. Then a new sound, a zipper, zip, 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 over and over. The sound of a tent opening and closing, but louder, wet. We stayed curled in a ball, eyes squeezed shut. I prayed to a God I hadn't believed in since Sunday school. At some point, the sounds moved away, fading into the distance, still repeating our conversations. "I thought you said we were the only ones out here," echoing off the canyon walls like a demented choir.
Dawn broke gray and wet.
We waited until the light was fully filtering through the trees before we moved. We looked terrible, mud-caked, eyes bloodshot, scratched to hell. We didn't speak. We just moved north. We found the logging road by sheer luck around 10 a.m. We walked for another 2 miles until we saw a truck coming down the road. I waved my arms like a lunatic. It was an old guy in a Ford F-150. He slowed down, looking at us warily. "You folks okay?" "Car broke down," I lied. "Can you get us to the highway?" He drove us to the nearest town. I called a tow truck for Sarah's car, but gave them the location of the trailhead, not where we parked. I don't care about the car. I don't care about the gear. They can have it. We got a cab to this motel. Here is the part that is making my hands shake as I type this. While Sarah was in the shower, I went to the vending machine to get a water. I walked past the window of our room. The curtains were open. I looked inside. I saw myself sitting on the bed, typing on this laptop. I saw Sarah sitting next to me, drying her hair. I blinked, and the room was empty again. Just the unmade bed and the laptop sitting there. I ran back inside and locked the door and shoved the dresser in front of it. Sarah came out of the bathroom a minute later. "Mark, why is the dresser by the door?" "Just safety," I said. She nodded. She looks pale. She looks tired. But there's something else. Sarah has a small scar on her left shoulder from a bike accident when she was 12. She's wearing a tank top. I'm looking at her shoulder right now. The skin is smooth, perfect. She's humming Sweet Caroline. She never hums that song. She hates Neil Diamond. I'm going to tell her we need to go to the ER, that she might have a concussion. If she refuses, if she says the exact right phrase to convince me not to go, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I brought the wrong Sarah back. Or maybe I'm the wrong Mark and I just don't know it yet. I hear a zipper sound. It's coming from her throat. Update 1. She agreed to go to the hospital. She's putting her shoes on. She put the left shoe on her right foot. She's staring at it, confused. She isn't laughing. She's just staring at it like she's trying to calculate a geometry problem. I have the car keys in my pocket. I'm gonna run to the car. If she can't keep up, I'm leaving. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. Update 2. I'm in the car. I lock the doors. She's standing at the motel room door. She isn't chasing me. She's just opening her mouth, wider than a human jaw should go. Inside her mouth, it isn't a throat. It's layers and layers of teeth spiraling down. And she's waving. She's waving with her palm facing her, her fingers bending backward. I'm driving. I'm not stopping until I hit the East Coast. If you are hiking in the Cascades and you see an orange North Face tent that looks a little too smooth, don't get close. And for the love of God, don't speak. It listens, it learns, and it wants to be you.
We went camping in the remote Cascades to celebrate a promotion. We came back with one extra person, but the math doesn't add up. I'm typing this on a laptop I bought for cash at a pawn shop an hour ago. I'm sitting in a Denny's 3 towns over from where I live, and I haven't slept in roughly 48 hours. I don't know if I'm losing my mind or if I'm the only one who actually sees what's happening. This is going to be long. I need to get every detail down before my memory starts to fuzz over, which is already happening. If I stop making sense, just know that I'm terrified. There were 4 of us, just 4. Me, Mark, my girlfriend, Sarah, her brother, Leo, and our best friend, David. David had just landed a massive promotion at his architectural firm, senior partner before 35, and he wanted to celebrate by getting off the grid. We're all experienced hikers. We've done the PCT and sections, we've tackled 14ers in Colorado, and we have the gear for serious alpine trekking. David picked the spot,
a jagged, unmarked spine of the North Cascades in Washington, miles away from the maintained trails. He called it the Anvil. I couldn't find it on all trails, but David had topo maps from the 70s he dug up in an archive. That should have been the first red flag. The map looked wrong. The contour lines were too tight, spiraling in ways that suggested impossible geometry. But David was buzzing with excitement, and Sarah was eager to test out her new 4-season tent, so I kept my mouth shut. Day 1, the ascent. We parked at a gravel washout about 40 miles from the nearest paved road. The silence hit us the moment the engine cut. Usually the woods hum, birds, wind and the Douglas firs, the chitter of squirrels. This was dead air. It felt like walking into a recording studio where the walls were padded with soundproofing foam. "Creepy," Leo muttered, hoisting his pack. Leo is the cautious one. He carries a satellite phone and a bear canister even when we're day hiking. "It's peaceful," David grinned. "Let's move." The hike in was brutal. We weren't following a trail. We were bushwhacking through dense devil's club and navigating scree fields that shifted like water under our boots. It took us 6 hours to cover 4 miles. By the time we reached the plateau David had circled on the map, the sun was dipping behind the peaks, casting long, bruised shadows across the valley. The campsite itself was perfect, almost suspiciously so. A flat, grassy shelf overlooking a drop-off into a mist-filled basin. We set up the 2 tents, Sarah and I in one, David and Leo in the other, and got a fire going. Things were normal until about 10 p.m. We were passing around a flask of whiskey, toasting David. "To the new office," I said. David laughed. "To the corner office with the view." Sarah stood up to stretch. "I'm gonna go water the plants. Be right back." She clicked on her headlamp and walked toward the tree line. We sat in silence, watching the fire. Then, from the darkness, we heard Sarah's voice. "I'm gonna go water the plants. Be right back." It wasn't an echo. It was too clear, too close, and it came from the left side of the camp. Sarah had walked to the right. David frowned. "Sarah, you okay?" From the right side, where she had actually walked, we heard the crunch of boots. Sarah emerged, looking confused. "Yeah? What's up?" "We just heard you say you were going to water the plants," Leo said, his voice trembling slightly. "I said that 2 minutes ago," Sarah said, sitting back down. "I just peed. Why?" "We heard it said again," I said, "just now, from over there." I pointed to the dense thicket of pines on the left. Sarah laughed nervously. "Very funny, guys. Trying to scare me?" "No," David said, his smile gone. "We heard it. Same intonation, same pitch. It was identical." We all looked at the trees. The beam of our headlamps died about 20 feet in, swallowed by the density of the forest. Nothing moved. "Echoes can be weird up here," David reasoned, eventually, though he didn't look convinced. "Basin acoustics. Sound bounces around, gets delayed." We accepted that explanation because we had to. We put the fire out and went to sleep. Day 2, the delay. I woke up to the sound of zipping nylon. It was gray outside, a thick fog clinging to the ground. I crawled out to find Leo sitting on a log, clutching his coffee mug with white knuckles. "Did you hear it?" he whispered. "What?" "Last night, about an hour after we went to bed, I heard us, all of us." "What do you mean?" "I heard the toast to the new office, then David laughing, then Sarah saying she was going to pee. It played out exactly like it happened, Mark, but it sounded flat, like it was coming from a speaker." I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the morning air. "You were dreaming, Leo." "I wasn't." And then, he swallowed hard, then I heard myself snoring while I was awake, listening to it. By noon, the atmosphere had shifted from uneasy to oppressive. We decided to do a day hike to a ridgeline to get a better view, but the acoustics got worse. We'd be walking, and I'd hear the crunch of gravel behind me 3 seconds after I took a step. I'd cough, and 4 seconds later, the cough would sound from a rock formation 50 yards away. It wasn't just echoes, it was a lag. The reality of the mountain seemed to be trailing behind us, capturing our actions and replaying them on a delay. We reached the ridge around 2 p.m. The view should have been spectacular. Instead, it was wrong. We looked down into the valley we had hiked up from. We saw the plateau, we saw our tents, tiny orange dots, and we saw 4 figures standing around the fire pit. I grabbed the binoculars from around my neck. "David," I said, my voice barely a croak, "take a look." David took them, adjusted the focus, and went rigid. "What the hell?" "What is it?" Sarah asked, panic rising in her voice. "It's us," David whispered. "It's us from this morning, packing the day packs." I snatched the binoculars back. Through the lenses, I saw myself lacing my boots. I saw Sarah checking her water bladder. I saw Leo nervously checking his GPS. It was a perfect replay of our morning, unfolding thousands of feet below us, hours after it had actually happened. "It's a mirage," Sarah said, but she was crying. "Refraction of light, right? Like a superior mirage?" "That's not how physics works," Leo said. "We need to go, now. We pack up and we get the hell off this mountain." We practically ran back down. The lag was getting shorter. When I breathed heavy, the panting sound echoed from the trees almost instantly. When a rock skittered under David's boot, the sound snapped back at us within a second. We got back to camp at 4:30 p.m. The past versions of us were gone, but the campsite felt violated. We tore down the tents in record time. "We can't make it to the car before dark," David said, looking at the sky. "The scree fields are suicide without light." "I don't care," Leo snapped. "I'm not sleeping here again." We compromised. We would hike as far as we could until we hit the tree line, then bivouac without a fire, and finish at first light. We started the descent. The woods were getting darker and louder. The forest began to chatter. It wasn't animal sounds, it was us. Fragments of conversation from the hike up the previous day drifted from the brush. "Watch your step. Pass the water. Look at that view." It was a cacophony of our own voices, overlapping, looping, distorting. It sounded like a radio scanning through channels, but every channel was us. Then the screaming started. It wasn't us screaming. It was a sound I'd never heard before, like a woman screaming, but digitally crushed, high-pitched, static-filled, and rhythmic. Screech, screech, screech. David yelled, "Run!" We bolted. Logic went out the window. We scrambled down the steep incline, sliding on pine needles and loose dirt. The sun vanished, and we were plunged into blue-black twilight. I was in the lead, Sarah right behind me. David and Leo were trailing. "Keep close," I shouted. "Keep close," the woods shouted back, 100 times louder. We hit a patch of thick fog. Visibility dropped to 0. "Leo, David," I yelled. "We're here," David's voice came from the left. "We're here," David's voice came from the right. "We're here," David's voice came from directly above me. "Oh God," Sarah sobbed, grabbing my backpack straps. "Which one is him?" "Just keep moving down." We tumbled out of the fog bank and onto a rocky outcrop. I spun around, sweeping my headlamp beam up the trail. David burst through the mist, dragging Leo. Leo was limp, his face a mask of blood. "He fell," David screamed. "He hit his head on a branch. He's out." "Is he breathing?" Sarah rushed forward. "Barely. We need to stabilize him." The woods were roaring now, a wall of noise. Our voices screaming in terror were being replayed back to us before we had even screamed them. It was predicting us. I heard myself yell, "Check his pulse," 3 seconds before I actually yelled, "Check his pulse." It was maddening. It broke your brain to hear the future a moment before you lived it. "We can't stay here," David said. He looked calm, oddly calm. "The noise attracts it. We need to be quiet." "What?" I hissed. "The source," David said. He pointed into the blackness. I looked. There was nothing there, but as I squinted, I saw a shape. It looked like a tree, but it was moving. It was pale, like birch bark, but it moved with the fluidity of a liquid. It was drifting toward us, and it was emitting the sounds. My voice, Sarah's voice, Leo's groans. We leave the packs. We carry Leo. Fireman's carry, switch off every 10 minutes. David nodded. He hoisted Leo up with a strength that surprised me. David is fit, but Leo is 200 pounds of dead weight. David lifted him like a rag doll. "Lead the way, Mark," David said. The next 3 hours are a blur of adrenaline and horror. We navigated by headlamp, slipping and sliding. The thing, the mimic, stalked us. It stayed at the edge of the light. Sometimes it looked like a tree. Sometimes it looked like a deer standing on its hind legs. Once, I swear to God, it looked like Sarah. I looked back at the real Sarah, then at the pale shape in the woods that wore her face like a mask made of wet paper. We reached the car at 3 a.m. I fumbled with the keys, dropping them in the dirt. "Drop them," the woods whispered. I snatched them up, unlocked the SUV, and we piled in. David shoved Leo into the back seat and jumped in beside him. Sarah took shotgun. I slammed the driver's side door and locked it. I didn't wait for the engine to warm up. I punched it. We fishtailed out of the washout, gravel spraying everywhere. As we sped down the logging road, the radio turned on by itself. It was static at first, then a voice cut through, clear, high definition. "I'm gonna go water the plants. Be right back." I mashed the power button, but it wouldn't turn off. Then came the screams we had made on the ridge. Then silence. And then a voice I didn't recognize, a voice that sounded like all four of us speaking in unison. "Thank you for the trade." The radio died.
We drove in silence until we hit the highway. Leo woke up around 5 a.m., groggy and concussed, but alive. We took him to the ER in the nearest town. Mild concussion, stitches required, but he'd be fine. David was quiet. He sat in the waiting room, staring at the TV, not really watching it. "You saved his life, man," I told him, handing him a coffee. "Carrying him down that mountain?" David looked at me. He smiled. It was the same smile he gave when we toasted the promotion. That's what friends are for. We all went home. We tried to return to normalcy, but things weren't right. I started noticing it yesterday. I called David to check in. "Hey man, how you holding up?" I asked. There was a pause on the line, a slight static hiss. "Hey man, how you holding up?" David's voice replied. "What? Stop screwing around, David." "I'm good, Mark, just tired." I brushed it off. Bad connection. But then Sarah came over last night. She was shaking. "Have you talked to David?" I asked. "Yeah, this morning. Why?" "I went to his apartment to drop off his trekking poles he left in your car. He wouldn't open the door." "Maybe he's sleeping." "Mark," she said, grabbing my arm. "I heard him inside. He was talking to someone." "Who?" "He was talking to me." She pulled out her phone and played a voice memo she'd recorded through his door. I listened. It was David's voice. "Hey, Sarah, thanks for stopping by. Just leave them on the mat." Then Sarah's voice, but Sarah was standing in the hallway recording it. "Okay, I'll leave them here. Call me later?" Then David again. "I will. Bye." "I never said that, Mark," she whispered. "I never said I'll leave them here. I was standing there listening to a recording of a conversation I hadn't had yet." The GoPro footage. That brings me to an hour ago. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to go through the gear to clean it. I found Leo's GoPro in the side pocket of his pack. He must have left it recording during the panic on the ridge. I plugged it into my laptop. The video is dark, mostly just the chaotic swinging of the headlamp as we ran. The audio is deafening wind and our screams. I fast-forwarded to the part where David found Leo. The camera was on Leo's chest strap. It was facing up. I saw the fog. I saw David emerge from the mist. But it wasn't David.
The figure that walked out of the fog was blurry, like a smudge on the lens. It walked up to Leo, who was lying on the ground, semi-conscious. The figure opened its mouth, but its jaw unhinged, dropping down to its chest. It didn't bite Leo, it inhaled. A stream of gray mist seemed to pull out of Leo's mouth and into the figure's throat. Then the figure shimmered. The blur resolved. It became David. It adjusted its jacket, cracked its neck, and smiled at the camera. It leaned in close to the lens. "Cut," it whispered. Then the camera captured me and Sarah running up, shouting. The David on the screen turned to us, face composed, panic feigned perfectly. He fell. He hit his head. The realization. I've watched the clip 10 times. David didn't carry Leo down the mountain. That thing carried Leo down. The real David, I don't think he ever made it out of the fog bank. Or maybe he did, and he's still up there, wandering in the dark, listening to the echoes of his friends leaving him behind. I tried to call Leo to warn him, but he's not answering. I tried to call Sarah, but her phone goes straight to voicemail. I'm at Denny's because I'm afraid to go home, because about 20 minutes ago, I got a text from David. It was a voice message. I played it. It was the sound of me typing on this keyboard, the distinctive clack of these specific keys, then my own voice muttering the sentence I just typed above. I tried to call Sarah, but her phone goes straight to voicemail. He's not just mimicking us anymore. He's catching up, and he's close. I'm going to hit post, and then I'm going to run. If you see a news story about a group of hikers going missing in the Cascades, or a murder-suicide involving a successful architect, don't believe the official report. We brought the echo home, and it's getting louder. Update. I'm in my car. I see him. He's standing in the parking lot across the street. He's not moving. He's just smiling. Wait. My phone is ringing. It's my own number calling me. I have to go.
Would you have opened that door? Tell me your choice in the comments below.
There are more stories waiting for you. Click here to continue the descent.
This is The Sailor. Don't look behind you.